Saving all your allowance and paycheck once won't make you a millionaire, and even if you went on a shopping spree just for today, it's not going to make you broke. But if these keep up, well, expect either to become bastardly rich or dirt poor broke, depending on which habit you choose. Statistically speaking, did you know that only less than a quarter of your New Year's resolutions are achieved? So, most of those things you promised to yourself, like your plans to go to the gym every day, or your dreams to save up to buy a house, or your goals to reach financial success, are most of the time broken. So why is it so hard to reach these? Why are they so difficult to achieve when we had so much drive and conviction at the beginning of the year? Is there a way to get out of this dump of broken promises? It all goes back to your habits. Maybe you've read James Clear's Atomic Habits, and if you have, well, good for you, egghead. But if you haven't, perhaps you're too busy to sit down and read. Or maybe you're using your time to learn about investing and finances. Well, don't you worry, because we're here to give you a rundown of the things we've learned from the book, so you won't have to read it yourself. First on the list, aggregation of marginal gains. We all know we're not like Jeff Bezos, who had a great start in the first year of starting Amazon, or like Kelly Clarkson, who won American Idol to become an overnight superstar, or even just that guy who miraculously guessed the winning combination of the Powerball lottery. These one-time, big-time stories are quite enticing, to the point that we ask ourselves, when's mine gonna happen? Well, believe it or not, these events aren't going to happen for everyone, and your million-dollar wealth won't come by your house knocking at your door in the middle of the night and magically making you an instant millionaire. But here's something to think about. Is there anything you can do that can raise your finances by 100% in just 30 days? Well, how about by just 1%? That's more feasible, right? It can be as simple as applying for that credit card with a cashback promo, investing your extra income to an index fund, or even trying to quit that subscription service that you don't use much anymore. 100% improvement is like trying to find a speck of gold in a constantly flowing river of 1%. It's not impossible, it's just very, very difficult. In the book, James Clear says that to reach success, you don't need that one defining moment. Success should be based on whatever your personal definition is. Those small 1% improvements can accumulate into something bigger. Imagine improving your finances by even just 1% each month for the next, say, 50 years. That's already an incredible feat. Your $10,000 will blossom into a hefty $392,000. This is the aggregation of marginal gains. It's similar to what the finance people call compounding interest. So every little step you do for a long period of time goes a long way. But make sure it's not going the wrong way. The next one we have is having a great system is better than having great goals. People always tell us to have SMART goals. And by that we mean specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Based on this, your resolution should be something along the lines of, before the year ends, my savings account should have $50,000. Sounds smart, right? Well, James Clear says that sometimes that's actually stupid, especially if you want to reach long-term success and continuously accumulate marginal gains. We should be thinking something like, what should I do so that I can have $50,000? Think of the process. Think of what you should do. Imagine the system that will get you where you want to go. A person with good habits, living a good system, will not have a problem earning that $50,000. That's for sure. It doesn't even need to be set as a goal because they already know that they'll eventually reach it. Your goal is to win the game, but if you have a good system, you'll get to continue playing the game to get as many wins as possible. So, you already have the system in place now to keep your habits going. But what if you can't? Another thing to think about is a 4-step model of habits. Think of the queue. craving, response, and reward of your habits. The sequence goes: when you're put in a situation, that's the cue. It brings you urges, something you want, which is a craving. It makes you do something, which is a response part, and eventually you'll get that craving satisfied, and that's the reward. If this loop is followed to the T, your habit becomes integrated into your system, and it becomes an involuntary practice rather than something you force yourself to do. To hack this system, you need to understand each part. For cues, you must understand your habits. Make a habit scorecard. If this habit makes you a better person, give it a plus. If it doesn't, give it a negative. We want to surround ourselves with cues that lead to positive habits. If you see that you're at a bar and it gets you a lot of negative habits, then change it up to somewhere that brings more pluses. In terms of cravings, it's as easy as making yourself crave what is favorable to you and avoid what is bad. Make good habits attractive so you can crave them more. Reframe your mindset to think more in line with this. So let's say you see someone with a nice expensive new car. Don't think, "Oh wow, this person must be so rich and successful to buy that car." Try to change it up and think, "Oh wow, this person must have spent so much on this. They're probably in a tight squeeze right now." Now for the response. Make it so that good habits get an easier response. One method is the lockout technique. If you see that you tend to spend more than necessary whenever you go out, then start bringing just the amount of money you want to spend. You can't go on a $100 splurge with just $50, right? And for the reward, make sure that positive habits give you satisfaction and bad ones don't. A surprising tool is using a streak. Nobody wants to break their streaks. For instance, every day that you get to save $10 from your expected expenses that you can put in your investment account gets a big check. And if you spend more than necessary, you get that ugly big red X mark. Get these 4 steps right and you can get your habits to stick and make you a better person with great financial standing. Let's take a breather here and let me remind you to click that like button and hit subscribe so you don't miss any of our videos. Have you read James Clear's Atomic Habits? Why don't you share some of your takeaways from there? And if you haven't, tell us some of your good habit tips down below. The next is to make sure that your habits are rooted deeply. We have 3 layers of change, and it goes from the surface to the deepest. Outcomes, processes, and identity. Outcomes refer to your goals, and processes are the same as the system. So, we've established that processes are more powerful than outcomes. But to make your habits their most powerful, you must root them deep into your identity. Compare, "I want to earn $50,000" versus "I am an index fund investor." It's easy to say we want something, but it's a different story when we claim who we are as a person. "I am an investor." See, it hits so much differently and it defines you. Knowing who you are will help you in choosing which habits will help you achieve and cement that identity. And then, those habits will come naturally when you know your identity. A great tip here is to surround yourself with the right people. Join the community that you identify to, where there are people that have the same beliefs as you. And the last one that we have for you is 80% exploit and 20% explore. Even if we already have our habits running naturally, sometimes we get afflicted with a nasty clause of boredom. You're walking a successful path and then suddenly you get bored. It's the bane of habits, and your habits will eventually lose their potency, just like that favorite snack you had as a kid that you don't even think about now. It was good back then, but now you want something else. The book suggests to repeat what has been proven 80% of the time, and for the remaining 20%, you get to explore and do new things. For an investor, this could look something like this. You've successfully invested in index funds for a while, and it's getting a little boring to be transferring your extra income to those index funds every single month. Well, with that 20%, maybe you can spend some of your capital to do some individual stock investing. It stops you from getting bored, and it's an opportunity to improve your finances too. So, what we've been saying is number 1, Accumulate those 1% improvements over time. Number 2, get a great system to foster your habits. Number 3, implement the cue, craving, response, and reward loop towards better habits. Number 4, identify yourself with good behaviors rooted deep into your persona. And number 5, make sure to keep doing 80% of what has been doing well for you and spend the 20% for something new. And that's the end of the video. We hope you liked her takeaways from Atomic Habits by James Clear. And if you found this video useful, please subscribe, click the like button, and hit that notification bell to get alerted about our upcoming videos so you can always stay informed. See you next time, Eggheads in the Making.